All right. Hello and welcome to Sue Rogers Unedited. I have my official second guest today, the wonderful Shannan Sinclair. And we're just going to get right into what she is here to talk about and whatever else we may talk about at the same time. So, Shannan, hi and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
So what I ultimately want to talk about, but I would love for you to give a little bit of your backstory. I am a huge fan of your book, The Miracle Experiment, and I want to know more about it and let you know how I've been using it too. But can you give us a little background about you and the fabulousness that you are and how things have evolved for you to what you are doing now?
Great. Well, I call myself I'm an author. I've written several books. Two of them are quantum fiction novels. And then I wrote The Miracle Experiment, Reality Creation 101. And I'm working on my third one called The Divine Compass. It's an operating manual for your soul system. And so I've been doing that. I'm also a transformation mentor and an intuitive consultant. And I've been doing intuitive consulting for about 30 years. I've always been woo, always had weird experiences, but it came to kind of a head when Princess Diana died and I had a dream about it the night before. I'm like, okay, I have all these experiences. I don't have names for it. I was really into fundamentalist Christianity at the time. And, I just didn't really know what to do with it. You could label it as maybe a mental illness. I didn't know. So I just started exploring esoteric theology, and I got involved with the Berkeley Psychic Institute and was in their clairvoyant program and started learning how to actually utilize tools, how to control, like, when do I want to see things?
Yeah.
When do I want to be a trans medium and have spirit show up for a conversation? It's not when I'm falling asleep at night,
Yeah.
right? I want to be able to control. I don't want to have it happen at times. Like, we live in a reality where we have to function in rational world and be able to do that. And when can I turn these things and utilize them when I want to and turn them off when I don't? So I've been doing that for 30 years and started writing books about it. And finally, as I was saying earlier, about a year ago, decided to step into, I call it my soul's code.
Mm-hmm.
What I came here to do, the frequency, my main operating frequency that I came to be on this planet. I've always been that, and I've done it through things, but I wanted to embrace it and incorporate it into what I actually do in my life. So that's that.
Love it. And I love, like, we all have to go through whatever journeys we have to go through to get to potentially, like, I don't know, like, do you know anyone who's just always known what their purpose is and has just always done it without a learning curve of going through other things first?
I think my children have done it really well. I don't think that they, and maybe because their woo mom was around to see and support.
They had a guide, you were guiding.
I don't know if they really appreciated it so much, but I knew my oldest was a teacher. I knew it from when she started reading at 2, and we'd take her to Borders and she'd read to the children and show the pictures and just sit up there like, in a past life, she was already a teacher, and just, it was so natural. And I knew that that was her path. She's on that. She does that. She feels it's her path. And I also knew my youngest was a musician. Like, as soon as I started seeing the music come out of her, I knew that was what she was meant to do. And music was her thing. And that's what she's doing. So yeah, I don't think they meandered as much as us Gen X.
Yeah.
Right? We were like, you got to get on this. You got to get a college education. You got to do we have had to be so much more traditional and fit kind of form. And
yeah, which it's funny too, like, speaking of stuff for college, because my son's a senior right now and we're trying to figure out what he's doing next year. And like, he's an athlete, but getting that college scholarship for being an athlete, like, it's tricky. And then the cost of college now, it's like, well, what do you really want to do? Do you really want to have the debt, or do you want to have money towards like a house and do like junior college? So, but yeah, like the push to go to college, but how many of us went, didn't know what they were going for, but that's just what we were supposed to do next. And then I can't tell you how many people I know if in the age bracket that don't use their college degree at all for what they are doing now.
Yeah. No, I went to college. I went to the military first, and then I went to college for graphic design, advertising, and all that, which was great in San Diego. But when we moved back up to Modesto, it wasn't a hotbed of advertising and
No.
creativity. And so I
Yeah.
went into law enforcement where 23 years. So it's true. I mean, I've always utilized that marketing savvy, and I've done graphics.
Yeah.
Like, I've always done that on the side with the book writing and stuff. But yeah, it's been more of a thing that just happened and not something I utilized in my career. And I don't know, we're evolving. And I don't think that, thank goodness, I don't think it's as important what your school you went to or what your degree is in. I think we're starting to see that people are multifaceted and they bring a lot more to the table than just the college degree.
Yeah, which is cool to see. I mean, and then there's like, I can tell quite a few people I know that their kids are like, oh yeah, my kid's going to trade school. You go to trade school, pay a fraction of the cost of college, and you're making like triple the amount of money someone coming out of just a bachelor's degree is making. And trades are like super valuable skills. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. And we're
yeah,
starting to appreciate that, people in construction and welding and plumbing. I mean,
electrician, like my dad has his AA and has been a self-employed electrical contractor for like 40 years and provided for a family of 6. Like he's also retired military. So I was like, oh, military, nice.
I didn't stay in long enough to retire.
He almost did. Yeah.
I'm a creative, like I was always creative, but I needed that independence. That was another thing back in the day. We needed independence. We needed to be able to survive and support ourselves very young. And I didn't have people that were going to pay for my college. So I went to the military, which was great. I got to travel. I was in Japan. I was in the Air Force. It was, that part was great. I got a GI Bill to help pay for college. So it was a roundabout way, but in the end, it was probably what I needed, I think. And the other interesting thing about it, we can segue in that, my specialty in the military was electronic intelligence, which was learning how to read frequencies and seeing how AM and FM and different radars and how frequency worked in the world and how you could read it and measure it and see what it actually was connected to. So I could see it was a hospital radar. I could see what the frequency, and now that's really what I'm doing as a clairvoyant. I'm seeing frequency, I'm seeing vibration, I'm just seeing it clairvoyantly. And the miracle experiment, I'm utilizing and broadcasting frequency in order to materialize what it is I want in my reality. So it's really weird. The military doesn't seem like it would fit in, but I learned about frequency in the military, and it's still related. It's just in a 3D way instead of a weird way.
Right. But it totally, like, it makes sense that was part of your journey to help also, right, see it in the military, scientific, legitimate way compared to like the other. But I freaking value both. I actually probably like the woo-woo way is way more interesting, and I feel like the bigger part.
Well, it's absolutely the bigger part. I just think I find it fascinating. We call it the woo-woo way, because as human beings, we only see a certain spectrum of reality. We only see like 0.0035 something percent of the whole reality, because our eyes and our ears, we only have access to a limited spectrum of vibration.
Mhm.
And there's so much more just outside that spectrum. So I always laugh at people about aliens needing to come visit in a mechanical UFO when they could be beings in another level of frequency outside of our physical range that literally could be standing in the room with you. You just can't see it with your visual eye. Maybe they're in gamma spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Like that there's so much more outside, and we think, oh, it's scientific, we have to prove it. Does that make sense? Like,
It does make sense. And I've so always been the way of, no, there's more going on. Like if you just stop for a second and look around, there are signs that things are like sending you signals and signs that aren't just scientific stuff. Like
yes,
yeah,
yeah, it's cool. I love it.
it
Favorite
is.
thing.
Um, so how the whole miracle experiment, how did that come about?
So in 2016, I was having a very crappy year, like on every level of my life, nothing was working. And I was estranged from my mom. I was estranged from a sister. I was going through a breakup. I was depressed. I was having money issues. I don't even know why. I made good money, but for some reason it wasn't making ends meet. Like I couldn't get it to fit together. I was having anxiety, waking up in the middle of the night with panic attacks. And I decided I needed to get back to my meditation practice and work my energy, get back to my soul skills, get back to the tools. And so I sat down and started doing I call it alpha level transition meditation. It's kind of a bridge. I utilize it when I can't go into a full hour-long transcendental type of meditation, when I just need 15 minutes to get my spirit aligned with reality.
Yeah.
So I decided to start doing that. And I was doing my meditation practice, and I got this like instantaneous download where the whole miracle experiment popped into my head. Like it's hard to explain it. It's like a data packet, like a zip drive, right? Like a little zip thing that popped into my head and just kind of boom, opened up. And I just got a clairvoyant picture of the movie, The Arrival. Or remember that movie, Arrival? And they give her this information. It just kind of blossoms and unfolds. And all of a sudden she knows the whole thing just because they planted it in her head. And that's how it happened. It just all hit me. I didn't the whys were there. All of it was there. And it told me, the information said, try this and materialize and manifest what you want. And I thought it was weird. And so I didn't do it. And every time I'd sit down in meditation, it would like, try this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is weird. And it kept doing it. And I think I wrote about it in the book. I think it was March 24th, 2017. I was so at my wit's end. I finally was like, fine, I'll try it. Yeah. And I did the practice. It's not a meditation practice. It's something I did in my commute on my car or in my car, and immediately had a breakthrough in the first time I did it. And now it's a daily thing.
Yeah.
Now I do it every day. I call it, so I have something called Reality Creation 101. Like if you want to create your whole reality, your career, your life, where you're living, like the whole reality that you're living, you want to level up. There's it's a big picture type of thing. And there's steps that you can take to create your whole reality. The miracle experiment is a component of that. And I just think of it as a quick fix. How can I manifest something that I need to utilize that I'm creating my reality with, but how do I manifest it quickly? So I use the miracle experiment as a way of opening portals of opportunity, getting quick resources, finding lost things if I've misplaced something, the little things. So if your whole reality is a car, The miracle experiment is, how do I get gas in the car? Like, I need to get gas in the car. I'm going to use the miracle experiment to manifest the smaller thing. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool that there's a bigger picture too, because right, I've been read it multiple times, but you can see my little marker in the back because every time I sit down in my front room, I'm like, oh, it's time to do the official back of the book section. Which
I
is
also have recorded a guided practice as well that people can have, so they can just put it on and listen to it and repeat the statements. And, it just makes it a little bit easier than I know it now. So I just can do it without needing.
There's parts I have memorized now too, where I'm like, I was sitting in the bath the other day and I was like, oh, I'm going to say this one part that's coming to me right now.
Yes. Yeah. And basically, do you want me to tell you the 3 steps?
Yeah.
So that people know what the 3 steps are, so that they know what we're talking about.
Yes.
So the miracle experiment is a consciousness technique that marries directed intention with sacred sound in order to materialize what it is your intention is. And the reason we utilize sound is because it is the prime organizing force of matter. Sound frequency holds electrons and neutrons and all of the components of the quantum world together. And you can see that if you were to Google cymatics, you can see it in action on YouTube videos where they have a plate of sand and they play a frequency on that plate and it restructures the sand into a symbol. And if they change the frequency, literally the whole structure can change based on what the frequency is. So we're utilizing that sound with our intention to broadcast out, because sound isn't linear. It doesn't just go one direction. It goes every single direction.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you broadcast that sound with your intention and plant it on it, you're rearranging the quantum field around that intention. You're aligning your frequency with it, which is what the law of attraction says, that your vibration has to match the vibration of what you want. So you're utilizing sacred sound to align your vibration, and you're broadcasting that into the ethers, the woo,
Yeah.
allowing the woo to start materializing it back into your reality. So there's 3 steps, and the first step is the I am statement of intention. I utilize I am rather than I want, I need. There's so much scarcity, right, in those statements. But if I say I am open to receive abundance and prosperity, you're already in it. You're stating it as a fact. You really don't need to believe it yet. You're just automatically stating it as a fact. So you use an I am statement of intention and you speak it out loud, which is the reason why I didn't do it for 6 months, because I thought that was weird. I am grounded. I am centered. I am open to receive abundance in my emotional life. I'm joyful. I'm enthusiastic. I'm awake. I'm alert. If I'm sleepy, I can manifest and rechange my energy to be awake and alert. So you utilize the I am statement and you say it out loud. And then you visualize that as well. So you're taking your words and you're seeing it in your head. What does that look like? And just like your TV station or a radio station, 102.3 is going to broadcast the 80s, right? They're on a frequency and you can hear it. We're going to broadcast that statement and that image that we're visualizing. So if I'm visualizing, let's see, I'm open to receive abundance and prosperity. I'm receiving portals of opportunity for clients. I am receiving random checks in the mail. I am receiving an offer. I'm receiving coupons. I'm receiving somebody gifted me a dinner, like whatever it is, I'm visualizing what that prosperity looks like. And then I attach it to the awe frequency of creation. And that came to me in the download, which I had to go after. I was like, what? Let me go Google this. And it's like, okay, universe tells you something, God, whatever you call that source, says something, and you got to go Wikipedia stuff to, let me see if you're right.
Check Google, because everything on Google and the internet is true.
Right. I don't believe you, even though it just miraculously appeared in my head. I'm
divine source. You don't know what you're talking about.
I'm fact checking the Lord.
Oh.
But what it said and what my research about ancient wisdom teachings says is the Aum, the primordial sound of the universe that all ancient wisdom teaching talks about. In the beginning was this word. There was a sound that spoke or made a noise and started rearranging matter and separating light and dark. And it just started materializing things. And that aum sound is actually a trinity. It's an ah, and that the ah is is the creator frequency, and the is the maintainer sustainer frequency, and the is the destruction recycling. I like to call it recycling, right? We don't want to destroy. Nothing's destroyed. It just changes shape and changes form, right? So, and we need it. We can't just keep building. There's sometimes you got to let go of some stuff. There's some things that are no longer serving you. You have to clear away in order, a farmer can't keep planting seeds in the ground. It has to go through and plow things asunder to plant seeds fresh.
Right. And sometimes change crops. That's depleting one soil. You can't.
Yes.
Keep going with the same thing.
So you need that frequency. So I started utilizing the frequency when I'm going through a clearing process where I'm trying to make space before I create something new, and I try to make space. Breakup, when I'm going through grief, I'll use that frequency to help me disintegrate energies that I'm wanting to process faster.
Yeah.
So the awe frequency of creation is what we attach our I am statement and our vision to, and we just broadcast it. And then we just let it go. That is an actual step. You don't think about it anymore. You don't, okay, where is my, I want a cookie. Where's the cookie? Like, look for it. We just let it go and allow it to bake, allow it to show up. And when it does show up, sometimes it just shows up flat out. My sunglasses that I lost for 3 weeks. I was walking through my dining room, and all of a sudden they fell at my feet, like out of the ceiling. I don't know where they came from. Yeah. They just literally manifested out of thin air, and I hadn't seen them for 3 weeks. It wasn't like they were on my head for 3 weeks. They were gone, and then they just fell at my feet, like weird ways that it'll just show up, or the check in the mail, or a deposit of money, that I wasn't expecting from a lawsuit, just things. Mostly it's portals of opportunity. I like to call it portals of opportunity. A phone call, an email. Hey, do you want to be on a podcast?
Yeah.
Like, wow, it's right here on my vision board. That into the miracle experiment. I didn't reach out to people. I haven't put things out, and people, here's this opportunity that's perfectly aligned with what I've been asking for. And you take the aligned action.
Mhm.
It's a yes. It's always a yes when the thing is aligned. You can get into it and say, well, this isn't exactly right. You know what I mean? But you
Yeah.
still said yes, and you're still co-creating and operating with the universe and, working together to fine tune what it is that you want to create. So those are the 5 steps, and you could do it. You can follow the guided meditation. You can follow the way I wrote about it in the book, or you could just go on my YouTube, what I am statement, attach it to an awe frequency of creation and let it go. And then when the portal opens up and you see something in your reality that matches what you've asked for, you do some follow up on it. It's not a bunch of effort. You're not knocking and pounding on doors. The doorway shows up and it's halfway open and you're just like, hey, peek.
Yeah.
So, clients have manifested houses that they didn't expect to be able to get. One client, she was renting a room and really wanted her own space and didn't know she'd be able to afford it, was looking for a place to rent. And I gave her the miracle experiment, 6 months. 6 months is a theme, I think. I'm not going to do it. And then finally at 6 months, she picked up the book. And within 3 days, it was later that day, she was driving down and she saw a house sign. And she's like, oh, I've never even seen this apartment complex before. It was a condo complex. Never even seen it. I drive by it every day. I've never seen it there. And now there's the sign. And then she then somebody else called her and said, hey, there's this place over here that was the place she saw.
Yeah.
And then she was like, yeah. And then she researched it, but it was for sale. And she's like, well, I can't afford to buy. I'm not buying. I just want to rent. But it was a portal of opportunity. So she went ahead and called the realtor, and guess what place she owns now? It's because it just kind of, and it wasn't even something she thought was even remotely a possibility.
Yeah.
That becomes the possibility because you just follow through with it. I have another client, she uses it. She's better at it than even I am. And I wrote the dang book. She's manifested jobs, new jobs, better jobs, money. She's like, she sent me a message. Can you use it for a relationship? I want to find my soulmate. I want to get married and all of that. And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't used it for that. And did she use it for that? And now is married to literally this person you can't even imagine how perfect he is for her and their relationship. And I don't think there's anything you can't utilize it for.
That is so cool.
Materialize something. What do you use it for?
Well, I guess this podcast probably came about because of it. I've been thinking about having a podcast for a while, just the different things that I've done, and realized, I think one of my episodes of this, maybe the very first one, the whole, if you got marked on your report card, talks too much in class, why the F not have a podcast? And I like talking one-on-one with people. If I'm in a big group of people, I'm generally not the one doing the most talking because it's too distracting. Whoever I'm talking to, I want to talk to you and feel your energy, give you my energy. I don't want to do that in a big group if I'm having conversations, which is funny because I grew up dancing and performing, and I will dance up on a stage in front of dozens, thousands of people, no big deal. But if I'm talking to someone and I really want to have a conversation with someone, I want to be fully present, fully connected. And this format, and because of, Zoom and the world the last 3 years, there's ways to still be able to have really awesome conversations with people without having to drive all over the place to connect with people you're meant to connect to. And then, I was a guest on a few podcasts and then was like, all right, I'm finally gonna do this and get this going. And then part of it too was, so a year ago, my son got diagnosed type 1 diabetic out of nowhere, literally almost died. And the cost for his diabetes supplies were like anywhere from over $1,000 to $1,400 a month with insurance. And I was like, dude, we're going to figure out a way to get you on Medi-Cal. And we did. And we now pay $0 for all of his stuff. And so that was part of the process too. I was like, okay, there's got to be a way. This has got to make it work. Like, I can tough it out for right now. And then right now I'm in the process of figuring out helping him pay for probably college, and or at the same time, hopefully he ends up somewhere that my husband and I have talked about getting a second place. Because then we could get the second place, our son can live there, we can come and go as we please, and our son can be at college, and we're not just wasting money on a dorm, we're actually spending it on
Right.
Because we've talked, my husband would leave California in a second. He's wanted to leave California since pre-2020. But where we live with my parents and my sister, it's kind of like our own little compound. And my daughter will be a sophomore next year. So I'm like, let's just finish getting the kids through regular school, even though we've been homeschooling, but now they're kind of both going back. Anyways, that's also part of the process too. And then just, overall good health, but things that I've been working on personally where I did not think I would make the income that I'm making, and it's doing things that I love. So
yeah,
kind of what I've been using it for is for things that are coming up here in the future that have been kind of goals, but not focused on, let me really put them out into the universe and see what it unfolds as.
Yeah. And I'm all for like utilizing the miracle experiment for specific things. You can utilize it for specific things, but I actually enjoy utilizing it for, the vision, the vision that I'm doing what I love to do.
Yeah.
And still leaving it like it's a big vision. Like, I'm doing these things. Maybe I'm traveling. Maybe I would like to do workshops in Costa Rica, where they're doing a workshop, and I'll go do the workshop component of it and get to go to Costa Rica and still do this and teach people how to use the miracle experiment, or, just like there are these visions that I can hold as a vision, but I don't have to plot it out. I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to figure out how it's going to work. I don't have to get in my frontal lobe anymore, where I used to have this big crease in my eyebrow because I had to think about things so much and worry about that. Yeah. I can put it out there and allow things to flow in, and then just go, oh, it's like breadcrumbs, Hansel and Gretel, like, here's a little dink, dink, dink. Okay, I'll just do this and I'll see what opens up here. And I don't have to stress as much.
Yeah.
Right? I can just play.
Yeah.
And it ends up being so much better. Like, I wouldn't even have imagined.
Yeah.
Right. If I forced it.
Yeah, like I used to want, I'm gonna plan out, I want things to go like this, and then you can't plan your life. Like, the minute you think, oh, I'm comfortable doing all this thing, that's when life's like, boom, drop a bomb on you and shake things up. So there's certain things that I'm kind of using it for, but also like what you were just saying, I'm totally open to however they unfold.
Right.
I kind of have an idea, but
yeah, it's like, I want a chocolate chip cookie. I really want a chocolate chip cookie. Now, how can the chocolate chip cookie manifest? Well, I could go get all the ingredients and make the chocolate chip, right? I could go buy the chocolate chip cookie. But when I kind of allow it, then things just kind of show up. And maybe I am at the grocery store and there's a thing already there with all the chocolate chip, a display. And that's my sign. I guess I'm making the chocolate chip cookies myself, right? But I've had it like one time I was in a grocery store line and I saw Hubba Bubba bubble gum.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I love Hubba Bubba bubble gum. And I'd like Hubba Bubba, but I didn't buy it. And I was just like, okay. And then I went to work and there was a bowl at work filled with little pieces of Hubba Bubba bubble gum. I was like, how did I manifest the Hubba Bubba bubble gum when I didn't buy it in the first place? Yeah. baked potato. I wanted a baked potato, like a Wendy's baked potato. And I accidentally drove past the Wendy's and didn't stop to get and I wanted one with cheese and all this stuff. And I got to work and an hour or so went by and somebody came in and said, oh, they had this class and somebody brought in a baked potato bar and there's a bunch of leftovers. And they brought in all the baked potatoes and all the makings for the baked potato. And I didn't, it's just so you can't then tell the universe, God's source, do it this way. It's got to be just this way. I want to manifest $1,000 for a course or something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell the universe how the $1,000 is going to come. And I'm not going to, it needs to be in a check in the mail. Well, that limits the possibility that I win the lottery. It limits how it can come in a multitude of ways. And rather than give it the exact path, I like to just kind of leave it as a general thing and then surprise.
Yeah. Right.
Here's how it showed up.
Right. Because I think that's something I read a long time ago too, right? Like you just said, if you're asking it for in a specific way, then you're blocking so many other things that could potentially flow in from other ways that you don't even have to know about, but they're coming to you unless you block them.
Yes. But sometimes when a opportunity or portal of opportunity opens up, I still, maybe at the first time I'll go, no, and I'll just kind of brush it off. And then I wait, and then I'll catch myself and say, wait, that's the portal right there. Like because I wasn't looking for it to be that way, that it's actually, and that comes from being aligned with it and doing the miracle experiment a lot. I will kind of have to stop and say, oh, you're missing that. Wait, that is a portal. Don't just delete that email.
Yeah. Yeah.
Investigate that opportunity a little further and see it's not just an automatic no, that sometimes we're just so used to, this is the direction, this is the direction, this is the direction, that we have blinders on. We don't see that something's trying to it's like give you a boost and throw you 10 feet forward instead of you're plodding on the path. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does for sure. Okay. I feel like we could keep talking on and on about all of this stuff, but we are out of time. But I would love to have you potentially as a future guest again.
That'd be great.
Because I think there's a lot more. I think that people might even want to know about all of this too, because like guys listening out there, guys, gals, whatever, if you don't know about how you really can create your reality, it's amazing. Frequency healing, consciousness, like there's so much that like we're not taught. And even if you have like a religious background, which I grew up in the church, but a lot of it is very similar to this but in a more even open, mind-blowing, really cool way.
Yes. It's not either or. It's all, and when Jesus, I'm still a Jesus freak, even if I'm not a fundamentalist religion person anymore.
Yeah.
I am still like, I have 3 Bibles over on my bookshelf and I'll still go, what was it that Jesus said about, the talents? Like I'll go his parables, like you can really like, he's talking about, it's just a different language.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. There's actually a book that if you haven't read it yet, you should get your hands on, because I think you would love the information in it if you don't know a bunch of it already. The Hidden Religion, The Secret, I got to look it up, but I'll send it to you. It's about how if you go back in history, we could even do it as another podcast book topic.
Yeah.
You go back in history, it's really women who ran all the sacred ceremonies.
Yeah.
And it has all the evidence and stuff. It's
there's a whole thing. And in fact, I think I have that book. I think it's down like the hidden. Yes. I think I do. And because they do talk about Sophia and the energy, the divine feminine that just kind of gets left out, even though it's written about and talked about in the Bible and other sacred texts. But it's it's fascinating. And the more you get into that, it doesn't limit you, and it's your connection. If the ultimate goal is to find connection with your source and your divine creator, whatever you call it, to me, it doesn't matter the path it took you to get there, right? You're there.
100% agree with that. Yep. Still there with you. Shannan, how can people find you and your book and your courses and whatever it is? Like, share all the different ways.
All the things.
Yeah.
The best way, I'm at shannansinclair.net. It has all of it on there. Readings, the books, the courses, and my name's Shannan with an A, SHANNAN, Sinclair.net. And, if you want to look at YouTube, it's Shannan Sinclair, and I post these type of things so you can learn more about it from there. And then all the links are there to my stand store and stuff like that. I'm Soul Side Out on TikTok and Soul Side Out Official on Instagram, DMs, those are the ways you can find the little path to get to whatever information you may be looking for, or just even to make a connection.
Perfect. I'll make sure I have all those in these actual links so people can find them here too. But awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, everyone. I have a few people that I'm like, I've only got a couple guests, but I already have people that I'm like, I want you guys to be repeat guests because I think we could talk for hours and hours.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, so those of you guys listening, appreciate you guys being here. And as always, I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, Balanced Day Life, or balancedaylife.com is where all of my other stuff is. And appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, Sue.